Welcome back, continuing the news. Findings of an election review by the Office of the Political Ombudsman have concluded that vote buying is an accepted part of the election process. The report, published yesterday, also highlighted the need for election reform. More in this report. The review revealed that candidates in the 2020 general elections were pressured by vote buying. It's a practice which political ombudsman Donna Parchment Brown wants to be discontinued.
Candidates should not feel that they have to give things to people to get them out to vote. And people should not be pressuring candidates to say, I need rice, flour, sugar, cement, cash in a T-shirt to be able to vote.
She describes vote buying as a major disrespect to the political system and wants instead for Jamaicans to focus on the true meaning of voting. The report further outlined that a campaign should be launched in schools, tertiary institutions, and youth organizations to reach out to the youth to educate them on the importance of participating in the democratic process. Executive Director of the National Integrity Commission, Professor Trevor Monroe, believes it's a step in the right direction.
I think it would help, Sanjay, and it is something to be pursued. But I go beyond that. We don't need a campaign. We need, beyond the campaign, to institutionalize civic education.
In the meantime, there's also a call for the election process to be reformed. Political scientist at New Jersey City University, Dr. Jermaine McAlpin, believes more options should be made available when voting.
Persons have also expressed that we need alternate ways of voting, right? What about absentee voting? What about, early voting? Beyond those who are election workers and those who are in the combined military and police services, we do not have this option of early voting.
94 new cases of the COVID-19 virus were confirmed on Wednesday from 799 tests. The country's overall case count is now 48,733. The country's COVID-19 positivity rate now stands at 11.4%. The death toll remains at 951. One death is under investigation. In the meantime, 148 persons are hospitalized with a respiratory illness. 11 are critically ill. There are 21,601 active cases. Taxi operators in Chester Castle, Hanover, are fuming about the poor road condition in the area. But the National Works Agency is insisting their calls are not falling on deaf ears. Cody and Barrett reports.
Baby mother pregnant of hospital, he can't reach in time.
It's a familiar cry for taxi operators in rural parishes. In Chester Castle, Hanover, the disappointment of the government's rejection of a fare increase still fresh on these operators' mind. Their frustration is boiling over because of the bad roads in the area.
We have this problem over a couple months well now, and then come and fix a part, and then fix the next part and leave the worst part. So we need somebody to come let you know so we're going to get the road by X time. And if not, if that not happen, we'll continue until next week.
I buy parts and I can't change them. Because road bad. You know, make no sense me put on parts. One now I drive, I can't buy the parts and alone I pay for my vehicle. How am I going to do it?
I have more than one bus on this road. And every week it costs me $40,000. How I can survive? Least of 40,000. We call the MP, we call the councillor. Then what the MP reply was, him not drive on this road, him not care. Him next reply is, he asks you one here and get two, so he make him money, so that's it. So I just saw him do it. You know, business with none of we.
Hanover Eastern Member of Parliament Dave Brown has since denied the claims made against him and is calling for patience.
I could never say that. I guess that was said in the angry stage. You know, I could never, ever say that. And I would never say that.
In the meantime, Community Relations Officer at the National Works Agency for the Western Region, Janelle Ricketts, told TVJ News that efforts to address the matter are advancing. She says that the Chester Castle roadway is drafted under a patching program slated to roll out shortly.
We are aware of the conditions and we have done detailed estimates along this particular stretch of roadway, and as soon as the approval is given, we'll be able to go ahead with this project.
Cody-Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
Residents of Ramsbury and Clarendon are urging the authorities to repair the road that serves the community. The people mounted roadblocks earlier this week to bring attention to the issue. More in this report from Dwayne Anderson.
Another cry from Clarendon residents for better roads, this time in Ramsbury district in southwestern Clarendon. These pictures show the potholes in the road that motorists have been using for months. So on Tuesday, the placard-bearing residents made it clear that enough was enough. They used debris, including pieces of concrete and trees, to block the main road and the railway in the community.
You're driving your car, going up, it makes sense to just walk because the road is so bad. It don't make any sense.
Southwest Clarendon is the worst road in Jamaica, period. And you know what worse? It's the strongest constituency in Jamaica, period. PNP, JLP is just the strongest. It's an embarrassment and an insult to the people.
The people blamed the bauxite company Jamalco for its role in their predicament. A company official faced the residents.
Late last year, there was heavy rain. And following the heavy rain, there was a derailment of the train on our main line. Now, in trying to access the site to repair the derailment, a number of heavy-duty equipment was brought in, unusual equipment. Now, these equipment damaged sections of the Gabriel Ramsbury main road.
The senior community relations officer from Jamalco assured the residents that the road will be fixed very soon.
The last update we gave was that the road would have been repaired starting the end of May, which was yesterday. However, this road belongs to National Works Agency, and so we are in touch with National Works Agency to ensure that whatever we do complies with their procedure. And so we apologize to the residents for not meeting the deadline, but we are committed to repairing the roads.
Work crews from Jamalco, along with the fire department and police, removed the debris from the roadway and railway. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
With no piped water in the community for decades, residents of Rosemount Garden in St. James staged a protest this morning. The people say despite reaching out to the National Water Commission numerous times, pleas for help have fallen on deaf ears.
And we need better treatment. In times like these when we are having COVID, you can imagine when you do not have any water, you have to be collecting water from neighboring community or waiting on rainfall, which just started recently.
We have complained, we have asked them even to chuck water to us. And they had made that promise that they would have chucked water to us on an interim basis. But until this day, we have not had any chuck water. We have sent sent letter out to the National Water Commission, explaining to them the situation. They responded. They said that they would look at it and see if something could be done in this financial year. They gave us an estimate of what it might cost to pipe the water to us directly, but nothing is happening.
Meanwhile, the National Water Commission says it is aware of the problem and their technical teams are working on the issue to have the water restored to the community. And for the latest in the world of business, we go to Cody-Ann Barrett with the Business Minute.
In business news, a new luxury 14-story residential complex is scheduled to be built in Kingston. Adjacent to the Terra Nova All-Suite Hotel on Waterloo Road is the Residencies at Terra Nova. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness broke ground on the site, which is slated to commence this month.
Over 400 persons will be employed. So there is a public good. There is the benefit of the renewed landscape.
President of the Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association, Norman Grant, says Jamaica's impending accession to the Madrid Protocol is expected to boost the country's coffee brand on the world stage.
Which is going to give wide protection to the Jamaica Blue Mountain and the I Mountain brand in over 100 countries. And it is also going to reduce the cost of the protection of the brand.
The global treaty facilitates the process of registration by trademark owners in multiple member countries by virtue of filing a single application in any of those territories. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
We head to a quick break, but Renata Brown is standing by for sports. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Renata Brown. Now, Jamaican fast bowler Marquina Mintley is out of isolation and will now reintegrate with the West Indies red ball training camp following a second negative PCR test result. The fast bowler tested positive for COVID-19 last week and has since been in isolation at the team hotel away from the other members of the playing and coaching staff. On Wednesday, he received a second negative PCR test and so was cleared to rejoin the West Indies training camp taking place at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground in St. Lucia. The Caribbean side are preparing to welcome South Africa for a 2-test series later this month. The tour will also comprise 5 T20 internationals. Football now, as former national women's coordinator, Jamaica's Vin Blaine, now technical director of the U.S. Virgin Islands Football Association, has seen his side been eliminated from the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The USVI fell 4-0 to Montserrat on Wednesday as they suffered their third straight loss of the qualifiers. The USVI will play their last World Cup qualifier on Saturday as they host El Salvador. In Trinidad and Tobago track legend Atto Bolden, who coaches exciting young Jamaican sprinter Brianna Williams, says he has no concerns with the Jamaican track and field fans, suggesting he's pushing the 19-year-old too fast, too early. Williams broke her own national junior record on Monday when she won the 100 meters at the Duval County Challenge in 10.98 seconds.
This is not new for me. When Brianna showed up in 2017, she was supposed to play Robin to whoever most people had decided was going to be Batman. And I said at the time, I know what I have here, and I think we'll be just fine. When I was putting her in races with, Shelly Ann and Elaine when she was 16 at the Racers GP back in 2018, people said that's lunacy. You don't put a junior in with grown women. But it was all part of my plan so that when she made the transition, it wouldn't be a big transition.
Finally, some NBA news as the Philadelphia 76ers and Atlanta Hawks will meet in the Eastern Conference semifinals after both wrapped up emphatic first-round series victories on Wednesday night. The 76ers won 4-1 against the Washington Wizards after a 129-112 win in Game 5. Seth Curry led the way for the 76ers with 30 points, while Tobias Harris posted 28. Bradley Beal had a game-high 32 points for the Wizards in a losing effort. In the meantime, the Hawks, led by 36 points from Trae Young, eliminated the Knicks following a 103-89 win. In the Western Conference, Utah Jazz advanced past the Memphis Grizzlies 4-1 thanks to a 126-110 win last night. Donovan Mitchell had a double-double with 30 points and 10 assists. In the other game on Wednesday, the Dallas Mavericks now lead the best-of-7 series 3-2 against the Los Angeles Clippers, with Luka Doncic scoring 42 points in their 105-100 victory. And that's it for Midday Sports. I'm Renata Brown. Anthony, it's over to you.
Thank you, Ricardo. And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.